What's going on, guys? Welcome to the post-match reaction show where we'll be getting your comments and your thoughts on the game. First of all, I'm joined by Pat here for his reaction to the game. Pat, I mean, what can you say apart from that? We were very lucky, I feel like, to get even a point out of that game.
Yeah, it's amazing that we went, 90 minutes and we're in line to get all three. We would have been insanely lucky to get all three. The fact that we still got one, I think it's the worst we've played in quite some time to still get something out of the match. So very lucky indeed.
Yeah, it's just you just look at the performance from both sides. You look at Palace, you look at Brighton. We're just on different wavelengths. Like we were just focused on defending, and you look especially in the second half, we were just focused on defending the ball. They all just focused on attacking the ball, and it pretty much summed it up. I feel personally that we are very, very lucky that we managed to come out of that game with at least a point because we didn't deserve it. We had one shot on target once again and just had nothing going forward. Do you think it's down to the players or do you think it's what I'm saying is down to the tactics? Because I just feel like it was just negative, and another Roy Hodgson style football.
Yeah, it's got to be the tactics at the end of the day. You know, like you said, no shots on goal from the live play. It was only that penalty, and including stoppage time, which we got about 10 minutes or so. I think out of those 55 minutes in the second half, we were defending for 50 of them at least. It just, there's nothing going forward. We're not trying. The players look like they're trying to do stuff. You see Mitchell all game was just running up that left flank trying to make something happen. But it just seems like he's instructed not to be really given the ball and to attack. You look at what Potter did. He brings those two subs in and one of them makes the assist and one of them scores the goal. So his tactics, I think, were far and above what Hodgson's were. He saw what he had to do. He made the changes, and they ended up reaping the benefits of it.
Yeah, and you look at our substitutions. What do you make of it? Bringing on Luka, and then taking off Michi Batshuayi when we're still 1-0 up at that point. Do you think it was the right substitution to hold back and make sure we get a point out of it? They're all 3 points.
I mean, maybe not right. It's definitely expected. But, I mean, as much as Roy does the defensive mid on for somebody else, this is at least a time where it kind of makes sense. We're trying to support a lead that we probably shouldn't have with the way the game was being played out. I like Benteke coming on after it goes 1-1 just to give him a little bit of a target. And he did have that chance at the end. He just wasn't able to kind of get the ball at his feet or at his head the way he wanted to. But, we worked really hard to get this young, exciting player out of QPR and him sitting on the bench for a time when we can maybe get on the front foot and try and get a goal. And even after we went 10 men up, when a man up when they went to 10 men, and not seeing Eze was kind of glaring for me.
Yeah. What do you make of Will's performance today? I felt like in the second half he was very quiet, but do you think that was down to him or do you think it was just down to Brian just taking him out of the game? Because he wasn't effective at all in the second half. I don't remember him touching a ball and going past defenders apart from one instance, I think. But yeah, he was not involved at all.
No, and the service time wasn't there either. We didn't have much of the ball in the second half, plain and simple. Yeah, and I think that when we did have the ball, everyone kind of flocked to him. I think teams know that that's kind of our outlet, right? We're going to sit back and defend, and when we get the ball, Will's going to kind of play in that central, forward role, and then he's going to drift wide, and we're going to try and hit him the ball on a through ball there and see what he can do. And they seem to have somebody waiting every time. Lamptey, that kid's a young little stud. He's going to be a good player, and he was kind of marking him a lot. And yeah, I think that's when you only have the ball 5 minutes or so in the second half, you're not going to get much action into your striker or your forwards.
Yeah, looking ahead to the next game then against Fulham, any changes that you'll make, or do you think it's a must-win for Palace at this point because of how we played against Brighton and how we played against Chelsea? I think against Brighton we only had one shot on target, which was the penalty, I believe. And then against Chelsea we didn't create nothing going forward. And the thing is, you look at Chelsea game and you think, wow, it's against Chelsea. Of course we're not going to perform. But Chelsea conceded 3 goals against West Brom. They also had a sloppy game. It was yesterday. Who was it against? Southampton, I think.
Yeah.
Southampton. So, there's no excuses there. Chelsea's defense was weak as well. So, next game against Fulham, is the pressure on Roy to make sure he actually goes out there and tells the players to try rather than sit back because they're a weak side as well?
I would love for us to try something new. I think you and I both have been watching this club enough and watching Roy enough to know that it's probably going to roll out in some iteration of a 4-4-2 again. But, I mean, if we can talk about positives, let's talk about Jairo Riedewald for a second, who just looked phenomenal. I think at one point he was 23 for 23 in his passes. I think he ended up having an incomplete one on his last pass of the match and ended up at he was at 100% for most of the match. If we can do something with a 4-2-3-1, I understand why Schlupp plays. He looked awesome too. I understand why he plays there. He helps out Tyrick on that left side. But if we could do like a 4-2-3-1, something in that vein, where Jairo can still play and get those passes forward. He had that great ball to Batshuayi, which was a tad offsides, I guess. Keep Schlupp on the left and put Ezzy in the middle where he belongs and see if we can create something. Give him some balls up top and see what we can do. I mean, what do we have to lose at this point? With 10 shots on goal in 5 matches, I mean, enough's enough. Let's try something. And a team like Fulham, who's defensively not looking great, I think it could be a big catalyst for us.
Yeah, well, I agree with you there about Jairo. I feel like he was my man of the match if you had to pick someone out of that game, because every time he comes on the pitch, every time he starts, he actually performs. And the only disappointing thing about Jairo is the fact that it's not him himself, is that Roy doesn't consistently play him. So hopefully after this performance, we see him against Fulham as well. But thank you for joining me, Pat. Always a pleasure talking to you. I know it's not the best circumstances after drawing against Brighton, but I'll talk to you next time.
Appreciate the time, man. It will still take the point, I suppose, after that. So
yeah, exactly.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, look, that was Pat here. Pat joined us for the post-match reaction. If you guys want to join us as well, make sure to DM us on Twitter and we'll try to get you on as well. But we're going to have Adrian coming on in a couple of minutes as well. But quickly, I'll send you, I'll read out your questions. Robin says, we were very lucky. Time to change manager. We have flair players. Keeping the bench warm. Agreed. Like, I didn't expect us to make no attacking substitutions or make them at a time where we actually have to do it, and rather than the last 15 minutes. So, yeah, it is Roy Hodgson football. I mean, what can you expect? He's not going to change it about. Will, massive. You can't even see my face there. Will came in with a whole review show here. Will says, poor performance, 1 shot on target. Wouldn't believe you. We had 2 up top. I'm fed up of watching Palace getting the goal and sitting back and playing on the counter attack. I'm fed up with the tactics. Roy cannot use the excuse of he can only do what he can, and with the squad, he has a squad. It's the best we have had for a while. Things need to change before our Premier League status does. We cannot continue like this. So Will is not happy at all. You can see it from his text there as well. But make sure to keep sending your comments. I'll keep reading them out in the post-match show. Also, if you're enjoying it, make sure to leave a like as well. Jay says they scored in the 90th minute. I understand that, Jay, but, you know, I feel like they still deserved it. They deserve something out of the game, if we're all being honest, because, yes, it was a Wardy mistake. You can blame Wardy for that, but we were negative throughout the game. So we can't really change anything like that. Mark is not happy with Roy. Roy has to go. He's stagnant, need a change. Sorry, Roy. You're not the only one, Mark. I personally feel like I've had the stance going into the season that my expectations are low and Roy will keep us up. So as long as he keeps us up, then I'll be happy until we get a new manager, but I wouldn't be too upset if he goes, because there's nothing to be upset about the way that we play football. And keep sending your questions and your comments. Mark says, who is out there to replace Roy? It's a very good question. Let us know in the comments as well. Let me know in the comments. Who do you think could potentially replace Roy? For everyone that's saying Roy out right now, who comes in instead of Roy? Because I'm not too sure in this current moment of time who we get. Eddie Howe? Even though he's taking a break right now, so we could potentially get him in. Allegri, yeah, I mean, yeah, that's not going to happen. Will says Allegri, but that's not going to happen. But Sean Dyche, is he going to leave Burnley? Andrew says Eddie Howe as well. I guess, yeah, Eddie Howe could be a potential replacement. But, yeah, that's the thing with Roy. There isn't many options out there right now. But to be fair, you can't do any worse. You really can't. I don't know who can potentially join and can be worse than Palace, than Roy Hodgson right now. Steven Gerrard, I feel like that's a decent shout. I don't know what he's doing with Rangers, but I've heard some good things about Steven Gerrard. Potentially someone like that, young manager. I feel like we need a young manager. I think that's what we can agree on. Adrian will be joining us soon. Not Eddie, not Sean. Look overseas. Yeah, look, that works with Southampton, Dale. I agree with you. That works with Southampton because we've seen it. They had Pochettino. They've had lots of managers that come from overseas, and it has worked out. But with Palace, I don't really see it happening. We only got Frank de Boer, and we gave him, 4 or 5 games? Of course, there was issues off the pitch, but I don't see Palace going out there and getting someone like that. overseas right now. And the manager that we've been linked with, it hasn't been any suggestions that he will be overseas. Daesh will be a carbon copy of Roy. Yeah, I guess you can say that. But the thing with Daesh is that at least he managed to get that Burnley squad into the European football, and we can't do that with this. I'll be honest with you. I feel like this squad that we've got right now is better than what we're performing. Like Roy Hodgson is setting us back, and maybe if Daesh can perform like he has done at Burnley, he can make sure that we move up the table. I don't think he'll be as bad as a manager that people make him out to be. I don't think anyone can really be bad from Roy. But Jay says it's got to be either Eddie Howe, Danny Fark, Thomas Frank. Yeah, good names out there. Someone different, ideally. That's what we all want. But Robin says, what upsets me is that you can see Brighton improving and trying to play football. We're standing still and nicking points by mugging teams off. Well, Robin, that's Palace, though. I mean, that is Palace under Roy Hodgson. It does hurt, of course. We was doing a watch along, and it does hurt because for 90 minutes we only talked about one shot. Like one shot against Brighton, maybe one shot against Chelsea. You can understand it to a certain extent, even though this season they're poor defensively. But I don't understand it. It is poor. It is poor. You can't have one shot against against Brighton. When you got Zaha on the pitch, when you got Michy Batshuayi on the pitch, when you got Schlupp, who's got pace. It's not acceptable. It's not acceptable. And in 90 minutes, Roy was just looking at his watch, waiting for the game to be over. And can you blame him? You can't, because we were poor. We were lucky to get away with a point. Phantom says, I agree 100%. I hate seeing Brighton improve and us doing worse. Yeah, they are. I don't know if they're improving, but they are playing a different style of football. I guess over time they could perform much better than Palace. But Colin says, fans moaning about not getting transferred, but watching how we play, who would want to come here? That's we don't think about these things. we think about us just bringing in the players, of course, but bringing in players is something else. Then attracting them is another thing as well. Like, does Benrahma want to come to Palace? Did he want to come to Palace? Maybe. I'm not too sure. But of course, we're a Premier League club. That's another significant factor. Maybe from another Premier League club to us, it might be harder. But with the likes of Sarr and Benrahma, then I suspect that they will still want to come Palace because we are a Premier League club. And Robin mentions a good point here. And he says how players must hate it. And you know what? I've said this for a while. I don't feel like the players enjoy playing under Palace. Like, imagine you're Wilfried Zaha right now. Would you enjoy playing under Palace? I don't think so. I wouldn't enjoy it as well because you're asked so much to do defensively and you don't have the creative freedom. Of course, you're not going to enjoy it. It's just one of them things. Mark says Roy looks at a point. A game is fine. Yeah, I think that's what's wrong. I think that's what's wrong. I think that's what's wrong with the club. The fact that we're happy with a point. But I've come to the conclusion that it is going to be like this and we're not going to change it about. Under Roy, a point is going to be fine. And it seemed like Steve Parish is happy with this as well, and Dougie Friedman, because if they were not happy, then Roy would have got sacked last season. The fact that we managed to lose 7 games in a row in the Premier League and Roy Hodgson's still here is just crazy. It's absolutely crazy. Phantom says we need to try a 4-2-3-1 narrow with Schlupp, Eze and Zaha as the 3 and Gyro and another midfielder in the 2. I personally, let me know in the comments down below. I personally feel like that is the best formation, but it's not going to happen, is it though, Phantoms? Because we've seen it 4-4-2. There's been that option and there's been 4-3-3. And with the 4-3-3 option, it wouldn't really work maybe under this Palace side. But I think it's going to be the 4-4-2. We're not going to see a 4-2-3-1 under Roy Hodgson, really. He's not the type of manager to change it about, and we've seen it for a long time. So I wouldn't expect anything like this. Why didn't Eze come on? Well, I don't know. We were struggling all game. We were struggling all game to go forward, and let alone he still doesn't come on. It's Roy Hodgson and Roy Hodgson. Dean says no attacking creativity from centre of the park. Agree there. I mentioned I was talking to Pat right now, and I told him as well. Like, Wilfried Zaha was not involved in the game as much, and I don't think it's his fault. But he didn't get the service. We didn't get the service at all. There was no that creative player, but there is that creative player in our side that we're not playing. That's Eze. If we play centrally, honestly, I feel like we would get more chances going forward because he's composed on the ball. He's really composed on the ball. By the way, guys, as I've said before, if you want to come here and talk live, make sure to send us a DM on Twitter and we'll try to get you on right now to share your thoughts whilst we're live, but got to play Ezin Cam. Mark says, we played United off the park, then play like this. Roy just sits there, doesn't inspire the players, turn into Busball FC. One shot to 19. It's definitely Roy, as he made changes today, and we were still abysmal. Well, that's the thing. The United game, we actually tried to pressure them. And I feel like United, when you're looking at United as a whole this season, I don't think, well, we played very good, but I don't think United are the United that we know of. They're not that big side creating chances and, causing misery to teams. So I feel like the United game, yes, we did manage to get a point, but United are not that good right now. Let's be honest. United are not playing the greatest football. Another massive comment. Let me move my face up. James says, Gyro and Jeffrey was Palace man of the match for me today. Huge work rate, strength, and quality from them in attack and defense. Wolf, Andros, and Michi didn't work hard enough to come on and get the ball today. Michi showed excellent finishing in the disallowed goal, so he needs more free balls from somewhere. I'll take a draw on the lack of attack and focus. Well, James, I'll ask you this question. Do you think it was down to Wolf, Andros, and Michi that they didn't get the ball today? I understand where you're coming from, that they didn't work hard enough. Like, I understand that point of view, but I just feel like there was no real service. Every time we did try to get the ball, especially in the first half, it was balls over the top. Wilf Rizal is not aerial dual winner. He's not going to win headers. Michi Batshuayi is not going to win headers. Andros is not going to win headers. So is it actually down to these three players that they didn't get the service? I feel like we could have changed it about. We could have played a different style of football, played it on the floor. We didn't. And we were scared. So I don't think it's really their fault. I'll be honest with you, James. But, everyone has different thoughts on the game. 100% respect their opinion. Tower, One Power. Roy knows what he's doing. Tower, well, in that aspect, what? Are you happy with the performance? I'm very intrigued. Like, are you happy with the performance? Do you think he actually does know what he's doing in terms of, getting us the points that we needed and style of football? I feel like he will keep us up. If that's what you want, then yeah, he knows what he's doing. But this squad is, I don't think this squad is that bad that we just have to stay up with the squad. We're in the Premier League for 8 years now, so just staying up is just simply not good enough. But of course, I'll get some of your other questions. James agrees to reply. Palace for life. Oh man, that was frustrating. Well, Palace, I'll be honest with you. You're not the only one that's frustrated. There's lots of comments coming in, and you can see it in my face here. I'm frustrated as well. We struggle against Brighton at home, and we couldn't beat them. I mean, that's where you just look at the manager, you look at the tactics. You're like, come on, like try. But we're not trying. We're not going to try because it is Roy Hodgson and he will get us points. Matthew says, having no fans there to moan at the game didn't help. I think this is a massive factor. I don't know about you guys. Leave down your comments. But if there were fans at the game, I don't think Roy Hodgson would be our manager right now. I'm not saying because of the Brighton game, but at the end of last season. Because after losing 7 games in a row, I know that Selhurst wouldn't have just been quiet and would have allowed that to happen. I feel like the pressure would have been on Steve Parish, the pressure would have been on Roy, the pressure would have been on Dougie, and they may have actually had to think about it, whether Roy is the right man to bring us forward. But with there being no fans at the game, I feel like Roy's gotten away with it. This has been a blessing for him, because when you look at our results, we have been poor, not only Brighton game, not only Chelsea game, but when you look at the last 15, 20 games, we have been really poor. There's no denying that. Well, Daniel says the system doesn't allow our attacking players to play their abilities. Yeah, it's a system really, but the system you have to look at the manager there. You have to look at the manager, and you have to. He's the one that controls the system. He's the one that controls the tactics. Unfortunately, if it was the players then controlling the football, then I don't think we'll be as bad because we have got some very good attacking players, but we just limit them. We really do limit them. But keep sending your questions. Adrian is not coming in, so I'm gonna quickly get Chris here. He's gonna give you his thoughts on the game. But yeah, so we need a young, ambitious manager who knows what he's doing. Agree. We just need someone who's not Roy Hodgson type of manager. I don't think there is any managers like Roy Hodgson out there anyway, so we can't do any worse. Let Roy stay as long as he wants to stay for. I don't know. I'm not too sure of that comment. I don't mind Roy staying until the end of the season. Of course, it's going to sound crazy, but I don't mind it because he will keep us up, and then we can sort out a new manager in the process. There's no point really sacking him today after this game because I don't know who we will actually bring in. But I don't think Roy's got the power to stay as long as he wants to stay for, because we haven't been that good. We haven't been that good for Roy to stay and leave whenever. He's not Arsene Wenger for us. He's been there 2-3 seasons, kept us up, but let's be honest, the football hasn't been the greatest. Scott says the team is good to play this style. Do you think the players are happy playing this way? Well, Scott, I'll be honest with you, I don't think they are. I've said this last season as well. Like, you come on, you're Wilfried Zaha and you're being told to go back, track back. You're Jeffrey Schlupp, you're being told to go and track back. Like, I don't think anyone will be at a moment of this game. I remember Michi Batshuayi playing at left back. Like, what? It didn't feel right, but I'm not surprised because all of our team is asked to go and track back. And I don't think I'll be happy. I'll be honest. If I'm a player under Roy Hodgson, I'm not happy, especially an attacking player, because of the lack of freedom that they get. So I don't really think they're happy. And this is a very good comment, Bembo. We need a plan B. We definitely do need a plan. Oh, just cut out there. I don't know what happened there. Back now. My bad. I don't know what exactly happened there, but if you guys are here and you can still see me, yeah, YouTube's here, Facebook's here, all right, everyone's here. Sorry about that. Bembo says we need a plan B. 100% we do need a plan B, but it's not going to happen, is it? Chris is also joining here. It's not going to happen. I don't think Roy Hodgson's going to have a plan B. This is it. Plan A, if it doesn't work, we're going to stick with plan A. But let me get Chris here as well. Chris, how you doing? We're live.
Yeah, I'm good.
Yeah, we're live for this one.
Yes, lovely.
All right. So what's your thoughts on that game? I don't know if you can be too happy about that, but you're not a guy who's always angry. So
Yeah. Look, I'll try and take some of the positives. I'll be honest, it was a performance that was like, meh. Do you know what I mean? Like, it was just, like I said after the Chelsea game. The one thing that I wanted was a performance. And today it just wasn't a performance out there. Lesser opposition at home, should be expecting a little bit more. But in the end, I think we can be thankful for a point. I think 1-0, I think we was hanging on in the end. Even when they were down to 10 men, they still look better than us. And I'm sure that we can go through all of these bits and bobs later in. But yeah, it was a tough one.
yeah, you can't. The way that we played, it hurts because it's against Brighton. Let's be real. Like the Chelsea game, I wouldn't mind. You can say it's Chelsea, but against Brighton at home, I know there's no fans, but you were just so negative. We were so negative from the get-go. And you look at the first half. What do you make of the first half? Brighton started strong pretty much, and then we had that penalty chance. Do you think it was a penalty?
Look, when we played Everton, they had a penalty against us, and I thought, like these things even themselves out. I think this season we're going to see lots of very weird and wacky decisions being made by VAR. 50-50. When the cross first went in, I did think to myself, yeah, penalty. Looking on the replay, I can see why it's given, but we'll take it. I was just, it's what's surprising to see is how confident Wilf is with penalties. I don't know if any other Palace fan is sort of like, for me, I never thought Wilf would be a penalty taker. One of the things that's always been commented on about him is his final product. So to see him tuck away 2 penalties already this season, that was nice to see, confidently as well. And old Ryan was trying to sort of like put him off and everything. So that's nice to see. And actually his first penalty against United, Ayew had missed. So there was even more pressure on him. But yeah, first half was so-so. But the second half was just woeful. It was just like literally all Brighton. I thought Batshuayi did superbly with that finish that was disallowed. And there was one point when they were doing the VAR check, I thought, hang on a minute, I thought they might give it. But yeah, it was offside, but great finish. But we just showed nothing, absolutely nothing.
Yeah, what would you change in the second half? Do you think it's down to personnel or do you think it was down to the tactics?
I'll be honest, looking at how we play, right, I'm not actually too bothered about the old possession stats. I don't care we have 25% possession. I don't care we have 30% possession, right? That's who we are. That's Palace. But it's the performance. I I think Palace generally, I think we struggle when we play against teams that play three in the back. I feel like a lot of our players are a little bit like headless chickens. We saw it against like sort of Sheffield United last season. We struggled to break them down. Brighton are a well-organised team. They're a good unit. Second half, I don't know. Like, you know, I saw some comments about sort of like Eze coming on and whatnot. I don't think he would have made any difference. I think that, you know, first and foremost, I thought the starting lineup was correct. I thought, you know, you can't knock that really. But changing things up, Palace are really only known to do 4-3-3, 4-4-2. I know there's a lot of talk about 4-2-3-1 and whatnot, but I do generally think Palace do play certain parts in the 90 minutes. I do feel like Palace do play a 4-2-3-1 because there's not many times you do see Batshuayi and Wilf up top together as a front two. So when you talk about a 4-4-2, that's what I'd expect. Two strikers up top playing off each other. And I don't really see that with Wilf. I see him sort of dropping in or going out wide and whatnot. So I don't know. I think just playing against teams with three in the back, I think it's difficult for us, Palace. I just generally, we haven't got another outlet. Eze was obviously brought in to be that other outlet, but I don't really think it would have been the right game for him.
How comes? Don't you think that he maybe kept the ball a bit more? It seemed like, especially in the first half, we're hoofing it up, and second half we didn't really have much control. I think we had one shot throughout the game. Don't you think Eze coming on, maybe being composed in midfield, just like Diyar was?
Maybe I think when Townsend did that run in the second half, you could clearly see he was knackered, right? So maybe like Eze coming on for Andros at that time, but generally, I think like. Who would he have played? Who would he have started instead of? Because Townsend's been on form already this season with assists. Schlupp's played well, and then obviously like we were crying out for Batshuayi to play up top, so Batshuayi's played, and then you know Riedewald came in centre mid, much to like the surprise out of all of us because we probably all thought Luca was going to come in, and Riedewald played super. Riedewald was my man of the match by far. Him and Gary Cahill, and so if I look at that team, I go. Where's Eze going to come in? You know, he had an opportunity against Chelsea. I know Chelsea's a quality team. He showed glimpses and whatnot. I just feel like at this moment of time, I don't think we're right for Eze. I think in a couple of more games, yeah, but he should have come on. He should have probably come on for 20 minutes. I think he should have come on for Andros because Andros does give it his all. And you can slightly see, you know, he does get knackered in games. But then he's the support to Ward. I don't know. Us Palace fans don't know how much support Eze would give to like the fullback. You know, when you've got Schluppy and Townsend on the wings, they're cover for Mitchell and Ward. Is Eze going to do that sort of role?
I think that might be the reason why Roy didn't put him on. But looking ahead to the next game against Fulham, any changes that you make? I feel like Gyro today, he was man of the match. He has to start, doesn't he?
Yeah.
But apart from that, any other change? Because we only had one shot against Brighton. Like that is not good enough. I don't think that is good enough in any levels.
What I'm talking about.
Yeah,
that's what I'm talking about with the performance. One shot at home. You know, again, I don't care about the 30%. Like, put it in this right. I was thinking about this, and don't all shoot me down, right? But you know, a few years back, there was Stoke in the Premier League, right? Stoke were well known to be well drilled, long throw-ins. They had a bit about them. And that was Stoke. That's how Stoke played. And generally, looking at Palace, it's like, what do we expect? Like, I feel like this is Palace how we are meant to be set up with like 30% possession. But going forward, counter-attacking, we should definitely be peppering the goal a lot more. A lot more. Yeah, I mean, because when teams play against us, you see like in the Man City documentary, Pep Guardiola talks about the hardest game of the season is going to be against Palace. So all the big teams, they're frightened of playing against Palace. Because on the counter-attack, we are one of the best. But seeing at home against mid-table teams and teams around us, if we only have one shot at a goal, you're gonna expect to get burnt at sometimes. And we got burnt in the 90th minute today. You know what I mean? So I think going into the next game, I think looking at that lineup, I think probably the same. Maybe PVA come in for Mitchell. I think Mitchell's time is now sort of, I think the honeymoon period's a little bit over. I feel like he's getting exposed a bit more. Like when you see other Premier League team youngsters coming in, like that Lapati today, he was quality. I don't think Mitchell's near that level at the moment. So PVA coming in left back. I think Czech Kayate and Cahill work perfectly. I don't want to see Sacco near the starting lineup. Ward right back. I'd put Schluppy, Riedewald, keep Riedewald, keep the midfield as it is, and Batshuayi and Wilf up top probably. Who we got next game anyway?
Fulham.
Fulham away, innit?
Yeah, it's away. I think we need to win that game. I don't think you can do any excuses about that.
Yeah, no, we got to win. How did Fulham play? What, one up top, Mitrovic, 4-5-1.
Yeah.
So Roy may go up against something like that. He might go 4-5-1. I definitely think Schluppy will play. It's a small pitch, so Schlupp's one of these players that can carry the ball. There's no point playing long balls at Craven Cottage. We need ball carriers. So actually, Eze, it might be a good game for Eze. If it's 0-0 or drawing on an hour mark, Eze would. I think that's the game for Eze to shine. I really do.
Yeah. All right. Thank you for joining me, Chris. Speak to you next time. Hopefully, it'll be a positive result and we can talk about a Palace win.
Yeah, hopefully so. Look, we're doing all right though. Still 7 points out of 5 games. You know, we just need another 33 points.
All right. Speak to you soon, mate. Bye. All right. I'm joined by Adrian here. Adrian, sorry about that.
That's all right.
Yeah, I was talking to Chris there. So Palace won, Brighton won. What do you make of the game?
I can't understand, right, why we don't attack them. I really don't. You know, I think, right, I think he went right before 4-2, but I think he should have played Benteke and Batshuayi up top there. I really believe that they could have undone him. You know, all right, we had a goal disallowed, right, but I just think, you know, Benteke, one thing he does do is when we play it up top, he seems to get his head on it every time. You know, and we missed that today. We really did miss that today.
Yeah, because we were playing long balls. But who do you put on Benteke for?
Who?
Because that's the hard thing. Because you had Wilf there, you had Michi there, you have had Andros there, and Jeffrey Schlupp. So you have to take out one of those to facilitate Benteke.
Do you know something? I would have either had Riedewald or MacArthur. I would have put them on the bench. But
Riedewald had a very good game today.
He had a brilliant game.
Yeah.
I agree with you saying he was possibly the man of the match. But then I also think Townsend had a good game. You know what? I've not seen Townsend play like this for a long time.
Yeah,
you know?
It's the hard thing, but I guess, you know, next game against Fulham, you might have to look at tactics. But what did you make of the penalty decision? it was a penalty, or do you think it's a bit harsh on Brighton?
In the law, it's a penalty. He had his hands all over him, but it was a soft one. I would say it was a soft one. You know, but you know, we shouldn't have sat back after scoring that like we did. We let them come on to us. Do you remember when Knockout scored that goal against us and we lost?
Yeah, it was at home, wasn't it?
Seasons ago. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that.
It absolutely once they scored, it really did remind me of that game, and I'm thinking, oh no, please don't, because they did have most of the game. They did,
the goal
you know. And you look at us against Southampton and United, we were attacking. We weren't sitting back. We were attacking. You know, we were getting the ball and making the runs and getting there. And we're not doing that anymore. Why? I also think that, you know, I don't blame Roy for this. I blame.
Oh, you don't?
No. I think he's deeper than that because, you know, we've always said, most of last season and beginning of this season, we need a striker, someone who scores goals. If they're going to play Wilf down the middle, we should have had Ben Rama. We should have bought him. hearsay. And also, you know, we needed a striker. Where is it?
Well, yeah, I think we need another attacking player. I genuinely do think that. It's not only about this game as well, but I just feel like when you look at the performance, I guess it is Roy, isn't it, though, Adrian? Because he's the one that set out the team like this. So,
Yeah.
you know, and you look at the first half, we're lofting balls towards Wilfried Zaha, Michi Batshuayi, and Andros Townsend. They're not attacking. You know, they're
not big players.
Yeah, they're not big players. So why were we doing that?
I don't know. Like, but that's the sort of ball that Benteke thrives on. You know, you look at last season, like how many times when a ball was played up to him, like did he miss? Like 9 times out of 10, he got his head on that ball. You know, and I think we missed that. You know, if we're going to play that way, then we've got to have the players there to, like, who can understand and go for that ball. Like, I think Batshuayi was a bit slow off the mark. There was a couple of times, I think, when the ball was played up to him, he could have made that ball. And I don't think he was trying hard enough. I think that's our problem. Like, you know, a lot of players that are playing think that, you know, they're there on merit. And, you know, they should be there week in, week out. I think Roy's got to start changing it around. And I also thought that, like, if Schlupp had a good game today, I won't take that away from him. But I think what he should have done was maybe play PVA in that slot because he can play that role very well. And also, he would have really done well with Tyreek as well. Mitchell.
How are you feeling ahead of the Fulham game next week?
We've got to change something. Right?
Do we have to win? Is it a must win now at this point?
I think definitely a must win. I think our next 2 games are must win games. Because we've got Fulham, I can't think of the one after is Wolves.
I think it's Wolves. Yeah.
I think they're both must win games. And we can do it. We can do it. Right? But he's got to put out the right team. Maybe he should play Benteke Eze up top.
Benteke Eze. Yeah. I don't know if he will, but it's just, well, I guess only time will tell. But thank you for joining me, Adrian. Pleasure speaking with you. But of course, another disappointing result against Fulham. Fingers crossed we can talk about something a bit more positive. But thank you.
All right, take care. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Well, look, that was Adrian. Of course, not all Palace fans are happy about the result, and I don't blame them. But I don't know what's going on here. It's West Ham are losing 3-0 already. I've been speaking to the fans, and I don't know if this is actually accurate, but if West Ham are actually losing 3-0, I know it's not about Palace, but wow, 3-0 in 23rd minute. Well, I guess we can be worse. We can be worse. So let's get some of your questions in before we wrap it up. And if you want to join us, make sure to DM us on Twitter so we'll get you on. But Matthew says the season with Adidas, Benteke got 17 goals. He played to his strengths. I agree with that. I don't think Benteke under Roy Hodgson is gonna work. He's got a different role, and that's not to score goals, which sounds crazy because he's a striker. But Adidas played it simple. You put crosses into the box, get the best out of Benteke, because Benteke is that type of player. Let's be honest. Benteke is not a player to get the ball in midfield and run past 3 or 4 players and to score goals. He's not. So G says, putting this on the play is hilarious. The tackles are handicapped by Roy. Agree. I don't think the tactics were right. And it's been like this for a while. The attacking players have been handicapped by Roy. Mahmoud says, oh, yeah, it was a great season for him. I was thinking if he plays stronger than Adama Traore, I don't know what you guys are talking about there. I think it might be in the West Ham game. Kind of says, to be fair, we did improve after we scored. Surely that wasn't tactical. So how do you explain that? Very good point. Because we did improve after we score. And I guess it can be down to, a bit of momentum. Brighton were a bit shell-shocked because you saw it. Brighton, after we scored a goal, Brighton were not pressing us as they were before we scored that penalty. So it might be in a case that Brighton were just, a bit shell-shocked. Palace got the momentum, so that's why we tried to push forward. But of course, you have to look at that. Momentum is a big thing in football as well. That goal was massive for us because we did not deserve that goal, Callum. You was on a watch along as well, and I think you can agree with that. So the players need a rocket put up them. I support Spurs, so you must be happy about that result. Your current result. Jay, Diyar, who do you personally want to replace Roy? Personally, I'll be honest with you, this is not going to be a massive one. But I personally prefer, out of all the managers involved, Sean Dyche or Eddie Howe. I don't see realistically who else can come to the side. And the reason why I'm saying Sean Dyche is basically purely based on the fact that I wouldn't mind him coming into the Spider side because he's done well with what he's got at Burnley. So if we've got better players than Burnley, which I do feel like we have, you would assume that he would get the best out of the squad as well, just like he did with Burnley and just like how they pushed forward and actually competed in the league. I know they're not the greatest style of football, but check up on Sean Dyche. He does change it about. I didn't know this as well, but I watched a couple of videos and looked into him. He does change it about. Even if it's a 4-4-2, he will change up how he plays in that 4-4-2. And that's important because we don't see that under Roy Hodgson. It's a 4-4-2 and we just sit back. So it's just one of them things. I was looking at Spurs and I have respect for the fans, how they made their tackles and midfielders. Yeah, Spurs are a good side. But look, we'll wrap this up now. If you've enjoyed this, make sure to leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already done so. But hopefully after the Fulham game, we can come here, we can talk about a bit more positive news and, let me know what you guys think in the comments down below if you're watching it on replay. What do you make of that performance? And also there'll be a review show out with the guys. They'll be analysing the performance in more detail. And yeah, until next time, up to Palace.